up, everybody? Welcome out to For the Record podcast, episode 9, I believe.
9.5.
Almost.
Remember? 9.5. No, because we had the 2 episodes.
Right, but there was half and half.
Yeah, so that would have.
That makes one.
That makes one.
No, it doesn't. Oh
2
my
halves
God.
make
It was one episode into 2.
Okay, so
Suck
then
it, man.
10.
We went to Southwest.
No.
We are Southwest.
We are.
She went,
Oh my
she
God.
went to Southside.
Oh my God. Anyways.
Zoe here. To my right, Miss Crystal, aka Mrs. Hans.
Hi.
Mr. Hans, everybody.
Hans.
And we got a special guest.
What's up? Family in the house.
We got the
Is it
cuz.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark.
Come on,
No funky
where
bunch.
is the funky bunch, sir?
No funky bunch today.
We got
I
our cousin
think
Mark.
we're the funky bunch.
First cousin, second cousin, does it matter?
Somewhere around
Dude,
there.
we're
Second.
family,
I
bro. It
think
don't make no
You have your
difference.
first,
Second.
you have your cousins, and you
And
have
then
your
you have
first
your first
cousins, and then your second.
He's technically our second cousin.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's my dad's cousin, your mom's cousin.
My mom's cousin.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't give a shit. He's family.
Yeah, we got fam in the building. Respect it. Well, guys,
What up?
how's it going?
It's going great.
It's been a week.
I know.
No, it's been
Podcast world
forever.
I've been missing it.
Yeah, no
Hey,
kidding.
don't forget, we're wearing pink.
Oh yeah,
Breast cancer.
Breast
representing
cancer awareness month.
breast cancer awareness.
October.
Mark, so I'm thinking pink.
Oh, man. I went to HEB. I went looking everywhere in HEB. Couldn't find shit, man. I was looking for a cup and everything,
No
man.
peace.
So oddly enough, I found these beers.
He's all, I got the underwear though. Got
It's
that
a dog.
we got it covered, guys. But yeah, shout out to
We're
everybody. Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes, sir.
Ladies, we're with y'all.
Save the tatas.
Save the titties.
Release the twins.
Save the movies.
There you go. We like boobies.
But yeah, big shout out to everybody going through that. Wish you nothing but the best. And those of y'all that are no longer here with us, may you rest in peace. It was a fight. It's always a fight.
Always
sir.
a fight.
Always
yeah.
a fight. Let's keep fighting.
There you go.
Well, let's start it off. Cuz, Mark,
Yes, sir.
what's going on, man? How's life?
No, man, it's been good, man. Been good. I got 3 kids, man, and
Wow.
you know, 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Oh my
All
goodness,
girls?
your daughters.
No, you have a boy.
Already?
Yeah, I got
You
a
have
boy, a
that's
5-year-old
right.
boy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Your second, right? He was the boy.
Yeah.
Your daughter's 8 already?
Yeah.
Oh my
She's-
goodness.
No,
When we
that's
saw her,
right.
she
she's
was a
gonna
little
be
bitty
8. Yeah, she's
thing.
gonna be 8. I'm sorry.
Oh
She'll
my
be 8 in a
goodness.
month. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Wow.
Don't worry. You'll blink and she'll be 18.
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah, seriously. It'll happen that way. I hate having a senior.
He's not here today to say it.
Oh, I know he's not.
Shout out, Maddie.
Shout out,
I
Maddie.
know
You need that on a
jerk.
drop.
You do. You need that on a drop. You need to put shout out Maddie.
Yeah, Paul's taking the day off today.
Since
He's
he's-
got some things to do.
A tampon to go by and replace.
It's family life. Leave him alone.
Fam life, respect it. Miss you, Paul.
Respect. Miss you, Paul. Hi, Paul. You suck.
Mama. I love you.
Oh man.
In a totally gay and homosexual kind of way.
Are we catering to the Spotify
We are.
customers already?
I'm all,
Oh,
So for
hey.
those of y'all that don't know, we're
Gersh.
now officially on Spotify,
Hell yeah.
iTunes, and pretty soon Pandora.
Oh,
What?
Coming soon.
I didn't even know
so
Pandora was
excited.
still a thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, people still listen.
I think Dulce listens to Pandora, doesn't she?
Yeah, but they don't listen to podcasts.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's either iTunes or Spotify right now that have
Right.
like, I mean, and YouTube, but
Where majority of people get their streaming services
Yeah.
from. But shout out to those people. If you're on those platforms,
look us up.
look us up for the Record podcast.
For the-
And please.
We have a new logo.
The number 4.
Yeah, new logo. Go to YouTube, man. We need subscribers. We need likes.
Yes, sir.
Come on, man.
We're still doing the raffle.
Yeah, we are.
If we hit
December
500
25th.
likes by December 25th, we're giving away
$400.
$400 to 4 people. Well, sorry, it's 100.
Wow.
Whoa!
My pocket.
She said
1,600.
It's on you.
I've been drinking, so you gotta excuse me. It's $100 to 4 people for a total of $400. If we get to 1,000 likes, then
Subscribers.
Subscribers.
1,000 subscribers. It's the same thing.
It's not.
No, it's not.
So old, aren't
You
I?
get to 1,000 likes in like
Very
0.2
quickly.
That's
seconds.
You can have
weird.
like 2 subscribers and get to
so-
1,000 likes.
So 1,000 subscribers by New Year's, right?
The same time.
Same time frame.
Same
Okay,
time
so
frame.
December 25th.
I'll be raffling my PS5.
It's PS5.
My personal
You
PS5.
can't even find a PS4 right now.
I know where there's one for sale. Just saying.
My old one for
No,
those of y'all that
mine-
want
mine
to.
No, mine.
So, man, let's get into it. What we got today? What we talking about?
What do we have?
Well, I have like one quick question. Like, we talked a little bit about it, but like, what brought you here? Like, why? You know?
Well, my sister turned me on to y'all. I mean, she told me about it. Of course, I know all of y'all. And she told me about y'all, and
allegedly.
and she told me I started listening to y'all, and some of the things that y'all talked about, you know, y'all listened to Steve Crowder and Ben Shapiro, and those are the guys that I listened to, and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm definitely for Trump. I'm against Biden and Harris.
No child sniffers here.
No.
Hell yeah.
Child
Trump
sniffers
2020.
and child swallowers.
Yeah, so no, I'm definitely following the same, I guess, ideology of y'all.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, you know, it entertained me, and I definitely I'm waiting every time it comes out. As soon as it comes out, man, I definitely click it on.
That's badass, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. Like I told you, when I saw you comment, I'm like, man, I only know one guy.
Yeah.
And when I finally saw it, I was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to have somebody on. Like, we just started. It's not even been just over a month and a half.
Just over a month.
Yeah. That we've been doing it, so to have like
6 weeks.
Yeah,
Why is
6
it-
weeks.
Oh,
About
okay.
6 weeks.
To have
Why
like
does it
a
feel like it's
guest,
been
you know what I
forever?
mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of cool, I think, to have like somebody that shares the same. And even
And
if it
that's
wasn't,
not Paul.
no.
But even if you thought
if it
different,
wasn't, yeah, even if you thought differently, I'd still entertain.
we
to sit
welcome
down
the
and
idea.
talk.
But
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
people who think differently won't sit down and have a conversation.
Nope.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot.
Especially if you say anything about any kind of support towards Trump, even if you just like his policies but hate him, people can't get past that. Oh, you're a supporter. You're a racist.
I love it.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot, where you could basically go against whatever they were brought up on or any type of ideology they have. They're not willing to have a conversation with you, sit down and try to come to some type of common ground with
Right.
you.
Dude, I like Caitlyn
Bennett.
Bennett. Yeah. Dude, on that one episode I was showing Crystal where
That
she's
is
like
nuts, dude.
the girl, she's interviewing the I don't care, I'm gonna say it. She's a she's interviewing a pair of dicks
Allegedly.
and the allegedly.
Allegedly.
You approve it.
just look at her. Anyway, she's interviewing her and she's talking about her being Caitlyn about supporting Trump, right? And so old girl's just like, you're a racist. And Caitlyn's like, well, you don't even know me. Like, we're just talking. Like, how do you, I don't have to prove that you are. You support that man, blah, blah, blah. And then Caitlyn fired back, well, if I'm a racist, you're a Biden supporter? She's like, yeah, you're a pedophile.
And the girl's like, what? I'm not a pedophile. She's like, why would you say that? Well, you're saying I'm a racist because I support Trump.
Well,
Then
you're a pedophile and a racist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he said some bad stuff towards black people.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Dude, he
But
went-
everybody
he-
forgets about that. Like,
No, you know what? I don't think they forget.
They don't want to.
They don't
remember.
want to. No, they don't want
but
to know.
I think that the Trump campaign has been really good about that because it's not something that they put out there in ads.
Yeah, the media
Like,
doesn't put it out
yeah,
there.
they
Yeah.
haven't. Like,
Well, and that, I don't know if you saw that. I was talking to her about it. I showed her the clip from Shapiro today.
Yeah.
The whole Hunter Biden. He
yeah,
left.
they-
He left his
the
laptop.
Twitter
Laptop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
and Twitter
Yeah.
and Facebook are completely blocking it.
Right.
You can't put a link to that article on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah.
They suspended the what's her name, the press secretary for Trump,
know what you're
the
talking about.
blondie.
Kaylee or
Dude, her
something
she's
like
got a
that?
weird name.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Sandra was easier. Sandra Huckabee, like you're just the turna. the one that
It's
had
all
the-
Taylor.
oh my god,
Anyway,
Taylor, right?
But
Taylor.
that chick got her Twitter account suspended
Yeah.
for just posting about the article,
And
not even the
it's like
article.
threatening her to where like if she doesn't delete that, they're gonna like completely
Ban her for
demolish-
life? Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna ban her for life for the
Yeah.
Twitter.
But how dare you do that? Like, man, you know how many Facebook accounts people have? Like, especially when they talk about old people having Facebook accounts.
My dad has like 6.
I know.
Well, they-
But yeah, dude, it's nuts, man. It's crazy to not be able to talk about it, man. I mean, just if nothing else, dude, just to have a conversation, a civil conversation, dude.
Yeah.
People just
But that's not
fly
possible.
off. No, it's not.
Like it's not possible to have a civil conversation with somebody because like people are voting for Biden just for the fact that they don't like Trump.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, and that's it. Like, okay, so like, do you know that in voting for Biden, you're voting for Kamala Harris, who still right now has California shut down.
Yep.
because of this virus. Like,
She's a commie.
it's like, Jesus,
I was
man,
watching
like, because you
on-
hate somebody so much, you're not gonna vote for them. Like, don't you see that? It sucks to say it, but that's the better option
And they
as opposed to
express,
Biden.
like, so they passed down the pedestal, right? So just simply being a conversationalist, someone who talks about Trump, they're bashing you just as much as they would bash Trump, right? You're in the same category.
Of course.
And it's like, dude, I can't have my own opinion.
Yeah. Dude. I was telling Mark, man, I was at a buddy's, man. We're watching UFC and we're talking about the podcast, and it kind of threw me for a loop because like I've known old boy for a while,
yeah.
and then we were talking about the podcast. I thought I was gonna reference like getting into being a little more political or being a little more maybe going down like some conspiracy things, right? Like that's where I was going with the conversation. But it was like, I mentioned Trump, and it was like that. Oh, so you're a racist? And I'm like, what does that even mean? Am I a racist? like, what have I ever done? You know what I mean? And we only have 121 subscribers. I'm sure there's some people out there that could probably think about maybe some things that I've said. Who hasn't, dude? I'm sorry, but who hasn't, dude?
If you put a camera with the microphone in anybody's household, they're not saints.
They already do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They're
Who
not saints
doesn't? Who
themselves.
hasn't? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well, no, because you know what you do is you catch their kids, right?
Yeah.
Like when their kids go to school or something, when they're not around their parents, and they're going off on everything that they're saying. What their kids are saying is exactly what their parents are saying
Oh, shit.
behind
Now I'm
closed doors. No, seriously.
Man, I also make a very conscious effort to like, when my boys hear me say something, dude, if I'm talking about black people or white people, because I have a tendency to talk about everybody. I talk about our own people.
Yep.
But I let them know, man, to me, words don't mean anything, right? Like, you call me what you want to call me, dude. If you feel like calling me a racist, all right, well, whatever makes you feel good about yourself, right?
They're gonna sit there and cry about
Yeah,
it.
no, definitely not. But like, then I tell the boys, I'm like, dude, so look, if I say this or I say that, like how we were talking about the N-word and they like to use that as a term of endearment, why use all the racial slurs as terms of endearments for people? I just want
I don't think that's how people see it.
I can't be racist if I hate everybody.
Exactly. but at the same time, I try to tell them, dude, that doesn't take away from, dude, be a good person. You know what I mean? Like, dude, if I can help you, I will. I don't care who you are, where you've been, right? We talked about last pod, gays, trans, dude. I don't really care how you live your life, right? Dude, if I see somebody struggling on the side of the road and I can help, I'm gonna help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And we usually
You're not
do.
going to be like, hey, who's you're voting for?
Yeah.
Then, nah,
oh, is that
Yeah,
a
you're
Biden
voting
sticker
for-
on the back
you're
of your
voting for
vehicle?
Biden. I'm not gonna help you.
I mean, okay. I'll be the devil's advocate. If you're rocking
your
a
Uncle
Beto sticker,
It's not. Nobody should even. Dude, I will peel off that sticker. His name is Robert.
Robert O'Rourke.
O'Rourke. That poser ass Mexican.
Beto? Oh, I
Beto.
just got it.
He's beta, bruh.
Beta.
Oh my
Beta.
god.
More like a beta male.
I'm beta, bruh. Like Biden.
If you,
Come on.
if you come
man.
for my Second Amendment,
From my cold dead fingers.
And that's what I
I
tell
will not
people.
comply.
The Second Amendment, and some people are real quick to try and take that away. And I tell them, look, and they're usually pro First Amendment. I say, imagine if the government tried to take away that First Amendment.
right?
How do you
How
protect
you would
it?
feel about it, and that's how these people feel about their Second Amendment.
Well, never mind that. When it comes to, they're gonna force down your throat a restriction on the First Amendment, right? And then they start breaking like amendments for search and seizures and stuff like that because just because you gave the inch, right? They take the mile.
Yeah.
Then how do you protect those freedoms, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I legit had I don't want to say an argument, but it kind of was like an argument just the other day with somebody trying to tell me that the Second Amendment applied strictly to the militias.
To the military.
Who's the
Like,
militia?
only to the
no, the
military.
military
No.
is a
No, no.
militia.
I know, but
That's
check this
what
out.
he said.
What
that
he
it
said
applied
was
to the military.
Well,
only.
no, that's not what he said. What he said was that, like, because I asked him, I said, then who regulates? Because you're telling me that it's written, right? A well-regulated
Regulate
militia
militia.
being necessary, right? Who regulates the militia, right? Like, if you're telling me the government, then I see in your context, maybe, right? But as far as I'm concerned, being necessary for a free state to ensure the right of the people to keep and bear arms, right?
Shall not be infringed.
His argument
Shall
was
not be
that
infringed.
the people at the end of that could be argued that they were talking about the people in the militia, not the everyday average person.
Then you contradict the first 3 words of that whole thing. We the people.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I feel you, dude. But the dude was like, no, he did not believe in it. You know, it's funny. I run across more pro-gun people that are not pro-Second Amendment, right? They're cool with all kinds of guns, right? Except fully automatic guns. Like, all of a sudden, that makes you a bad person if you have a fully automatic gun. Even though the government's cool with you having it, so long as you jump through the hoops.
Right, the ATF.
ATF, you got to get tax
Background
stamps.
checks,
So long
tax
as you're
stamps,
willing to pay all
everything.
their fees, dude, they'll let you do silencers, no different. You can do all that.
And there's the process is very, very like, stringent.
Dude, I should be getting paid by the government to go through that process. Give me a time card. I want some of my tax money back that I got to spend jumping through hoops, getting fingerprinted, and you know, they're basically, dude, in a nutshell, in my eyes, they're assuming guilty until I prove innocent. And it's not that way, bro. It's not.
It's not the way it works.
And the burden of proof is not on me. I shouldn't have to prove that I'm able to carry a weapon or do. If I've done nothing wrong my entire life, then you tell me how I should not be able to carry a gun.
You know what's funny is that we have Madison, right? So she's 17, and we had this conversation the other day. I don't know. We picked her up from school, and I was 10 kinds of pissed off at her, and so I didn't want to talk to her. And so we continued our conversation. But she gets it. She's like, well, that's stupid. Like, why would they not want you to have a gun? Like, that's not what the Constitution means. And she's in high school.
Right.
So she's just
Which
like
is kind of
fresh.
awkward because I didn't think they were teaching the kids the Constitution at all in the high school. Like, I'm not saying they don't go over it, right? Yeah. That's
That's
kind of
what
one
I'm
of those
saying. Like,
Seinfeld
she's fresh
yada, yada,
on the
yada
whole
moments,
thing.
right? They're like, we the people, yada, yada, yada. Joe Biden, oh, you know the thing with the people and the...
Come on, man.
Come on, man. And then Beta Bro in the back, he's like, bruh.
Like, she's like fresh into all of this stuff, right, that they're teaching her. And even her in her head, she's like, but that's not what that means. It doesn't mean that people can't own guns. Like, it's just that you can protect yourself and your family from whatever, because that's your well-regulated militia. If the government gets out of hand with you know, they become a tyrant, then that's what it's
that's
there
where you
for.
lose people, is that you're implying that the government will overthrow its own government.
They imply that I can't protect myself. Like, they come up, there's all the time, right? All these loops that we're talking about, we got to jump through. They're implying that I would go do something bad with the firearm, and they have no absolute proof that I would. Right?
Yeah.
Stay out of my DMs, you fuckers.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But no, I mean, it's the same shit. Like, they come up with an assumption. Then why is it not okay for me to assume that, dude, at some point in time, right? And if you just follow history, dude, there's not a time and point where the government doesn't try to overstep its boundaries, and the people
Venezuela.
have to uprise.
North and South Korea.
Germany.
Yeah.
Taiwan.
Everything,
Japan. China.
But and that's the thing, right? And just China. But the United States, other than the Civil War, which I won't go there, but I mean, I think that's not entirely what it.
Again.
Ah, la madre. No, I'm not calling for that.
I
want to die first. I don't want that to happen in my lifetime.
You don't think so?
A purge.
I can agree with the purge. I don't know. I think
What would be your purge song? Like, if you had to pick a song to put in the headphones,
this girl is on fire.
it would have been a guilty pleasure song.
I'm bringing sexy back. Bump, 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 bump. With the big old 50 cal.
You're all clearing the hallway. You're out there.
Sing it to the girl.
Oh my God!
Anyway,
yes.
dude, we got to give Mark some time to talk. My bad.
There you go. I'm sorry.
I'll talk loud and over everybody all the time.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, you will.
Oh, you hush, DJ voice.
No, I mean, I'm definitely pro Second Amendment. I think that everyone should, who wants to own a gun, should own a gun. And I think the government shouldn't have any say so on that whatsoever, because it's like, as it said in the Second Amendment, I mean, it's definitely there and it can't be taken away from you.
Do you think there should be a limit on what kind of gun you should have?
Hell no.
No.
I mean, I don't know. We're talking like tanks and stuff like that. I mean,
again, any kind, right? Any infringement is an infringement.
True.
I mean, something that far. I mean, I don't think anyone really. I mean, unless they go through the necessary paperwork to get a tank.
If you haven't committed a
have
crime,
tank, I mean, I don't know. I don't
I
see
don't
why
know.
anybody would.
Cause-
I don't, I
Look
don't
at-
think,
look at- look
I don't
at
think
if-
civilians should be held back from what they can own. If the military can own it, I think civilians should be able to own it. Like I don't think
Because
there should be any
you have to look
paperwork
at
or
it-
red tape. That's where the shall not infringe comes into place.
Well, but besides that, right? A militia, right? Well regulated to ensure a free state, right? And we're talking about tyrannical government.
I wanna own an RPG.
If our government went tyrannical, dude, they've got so many different kinds of weapons that we don't even know what they've
Right.
got, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if they can own it and we can't, then who cares about the Second Amendment?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's more of the civilians going against other civilians, and then just having that kind of manpower legally. Say they have RPGs. Say you can own 80 RPGs and just have them in your
I
household.
want an
mean,
RPG.
you know, that would be something a little bit bigger than having. I mean, I guess, you know,
And if you
80
think
ARs.
the grand idea of everyone owing those things are usually the ones that are going to use it in defense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I agree that. I agree
Like,
with that too.
don't
I mean, the
think it's-
majority.
I don't
yeah,
think
the
it's the
majority
everyday
definitely will.
average person that's like, okay, I'm going to use this RPG to go blow up a post office or to go blow up the White House or to go do this. You know, it's
And if
not
it
the
was, it
everyday
would be an
average.
actual postal worker.
Yeah. Like I don't think
postal.
it's like
Right, going-
it's a whole new level full of. But like I don't think the everyday average person thinks that way. I think
Nah.
I think a lot of people like to say that that's what we think of because like look
Right.
at the whole debate when it comes to AR-15s. Oh well, you have that big old 30 magazine or whatever 30 round magazine in your hand.
Standard capacity.
So you
Yeah.
whatever.
Standard.
Anyways, so you have that in your hand, so you can let off 30 rounds. Well, guess what? I can drop the magazine on my 9mm and reload in 2 seconds. It really doesn't take that long to
Yeah.
do that. I can do
Yeah.
the same amount of damage with my 9mm that I could with an
Yeah,
AR-15.
And you can conceal it better.
Yeah.
And I can conceal it
And
better.
the majority of murders are with handguns.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
And dude,
80%.
and again, like if you like I say that I feel like if the government should own it or could own it, we should, right? I mean, obviously they're buying and making this stuff with our tax-paying dollars, right? But I mean, who little man, right, is gonna own a tank? And if you owned a tank, you'd probably be the only one in your hood that had a tank, right? So if you're
Yeah.
gonna do something stupid, it wasn't my tank,
I
officer.
don't know, bro. Some mob bosses.
I don't
they
know.
got that
Someone
feria.
stole my tank.
My
I don't know what's
tank
going on.
my tank
is in the
is
backyard.
green and brown, sir. That one is brown and green. It does it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It would be.
Yeah.
If you throw some spinners on that, we're done.
I want hydraulics.
I want to make it bounce.
I mean,
It
they can
goes
do
back
something
to the
with it.
standard. If you're a law-abiding citizen, that's exactly what you're gonna do.
Exactly,
is
dude.
abide the
And,
law.
and again, dude, like, because here's the thing, right? If that group really wanted something bad, they could probably get a hold of it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely.
but do I have to become a criminal? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so the system is turning me into a criminal way before I wanted to.
Yeah.
If I was given the option, right, dude, if you want to buy this, it's going to cost you X amount of money, and I dish out that money, but they're telling me you can't have it. But I know a guy across the street has one, right? And I just want to be ready in case
And I'm going
that
to pay
guy's
him
ready.
double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm willing
you know,
to pay him
I'm
double
gonna go
for
talk
it
to
to
that
get a hold
guy.
of it.
I'm gonna talk to that guy and be like, "Hey, where'd you get yours?" And you know, you become a criminal for no reason, for a statute or regulation or policy or some dumb shit that like people want. Like what blows my mind about people who make the argument about the Second Amendment and the weapons of the time, right? Oh, well, it didn't apply to AR-15s because they weren't around then, right?
They use muskets.
Exactly. Well, what did the
Yeah.
military use then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They used almost the same style of weaponry, maybe a little bit more advanced, right?
Right.
But even then, again, we're here now, right? So why would those weapons back then be relevant now? No jackass would go walk around. Hold on.
Yeah, seriously. Wait, don't move. Give me 5 minutes.
Ain't
Who doesn't-
happening, man.
So if they ban an AR-15 for civilian use, are they going to take it away from the cops?
No, I definitely wouldn't.
of course
do that.
not. They're
No.
above the
Yeah.
law. So when
Right.
you want to talk sovereign
But then
citizens,
at the same time, they're saying that, okay, well, let's defund the police and let's do this and let's do that and everything because they have too much power. Now you're going to give them even more power by allowing them to have a 30-round magazine when civilians can't even own a 30-round magazine.
well, in the civilians, defense, most cops don't really go through training. Like they go through the academy and then they never touch their weapon. That style of weapon.
Yeah.
Not every cop. I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's a true marksman, like he wants to go be proficient with his weapon. I'm not saying, especially the handgun that they carry, but how many cops, like, unless they're in full riot gear, walk around with AR-15s, right? They got them in their trucks all nice and pretty.
I don't know,
They're like
that
trophies,
guy-
right?
Yeah.
Like,
That guy on what is it, Lone Star Law took out his AR-15 to go look for that kid that was running around in the. in
well, I
one of the
know,
shows
and
that we
again, though, you know,
watched.
but that's the game warden.
Yeah, it
and,
was a game
and,
warden.
and I don't know. Again, I don't know how they treat that. Like I'm talking about, like SAPD. Half them fat shits can't run across the street to stop a
That's
jaywalker.
funny, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the game warden's carrying an AR-15, and that's usually my argument to people when they're like, "Well, what do you need a 30-round magazine for?" And I'm like, "Have you ever been hog hunting?"
Yeah.
Never
You
mind that.
need a
What
30-round
happens-
magazine.
What happens if you're in Portland and there's 30 people surrounding you?
Yeah.
Or 500, they break
Yeah.
through your gate.
Dude, exactly.
Yep.
Pop, 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 pop. Just end it, dude.
Load another
And if
clip.
exactly,
Another clip.
Magazine.
I'm the only one allowed to sing on here, and I already sang my song. That's cute.
just all,
Oh my god. But yeah, dude,
man.
I don't know. That's freaking nuts. I don't.
So what do y'all think about defunding the police? I know you mentioned that.
Absolutely
I
not.
no. Well, so the messed up part about it is like they're calling to defund the police, but they want the police present at their protest to defund the police.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
that or
Like
at
who's
these,
who's gonna take up the slack? Because now, even now, like the police are funded right now, right? But people don't understand is that the police, they don't have to help you.
They don't.
There is
Yeah.
no law that says that they have to help you
They
in
do
any
but it
situation
says on the
at
side
all.
of their car
No.
to serve and protect.
No,
Themselves.
it does. To themselves, exactly.
Or the elected officials
They
that
have
gave them
the
their job.
decision.
Yeah.
They have the decision
Not
to
even
make.
elected.
Yeah, they're not elected.
Yeah.
That's the problem with
That,
it.
see, and that's where, like, dude, I've had this argument with a couple different people, and I kind of feel like, dude, we could fix this defund the police, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada problem like that. And
How's
that's simply to get rid of applying for a job, right? So, like, our police chief for
Is it McManus?
McManus, he left and did what he did, right? And I don't like it over here. Then a city manager, not even the mayor, gave him his job back, right? Meanwhile, in Atascosa County, they're holding elections for sheriff because that guy answers to the people.
Right.
If every cop, or at least the heads of departments, had to answer to the people, if they were put into their position, a lot of this crap would stop. But because they
wouldn't happen.
run around with an immunity because they're like Hitler's people, right? I was just doing my job.
Yeah.
And you can watch cops every day when we got real big into public photography and watching those videos.
First Amendment
First
audits.
Amendment
Yes,
audits,
First
dude.
Amendment audits.
Second Amendment audits, right?
Yeah.
Those cops are like, look, man, I'm just doing my job. I need you. Give me your ID. I don't have to. It's not the
Don't
law.
have to do it.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But dude, if those same cops knew that if they were messing up like that, and the person that they were trying to force to give up their ID had the right to go vote them out, they'd be like, "Hey, you're doing what? Oh, you're taking a picture? My bad." You know what I mean? It would.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that. Again, I think we can all agree there's shitty cops out there.
Yeah.
End of story, dude.
There really
dude,
is, yeah.
You go to any job, right?
Any
Any
profession,
job
yeah,
any
any
profession
profession,
you work,
yeah.
there's shitty people, dude. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
At the end
Oh
of
my
all
god,
that,
my German chocolate cake. I hate that guy. I really hate that guy. I really do.
side story,
Shitty people.
story time.
Speaking of shitty people.
But that's the irony, right? So if you're in a suburban area, right, you make a good income and someone's trying to take something from you, who do you call?
Ghostbusters.
No, you weirdo. You call the cops.
Who would you call if
You
you're
call
going
the
to find
cops.
them?
But if you're gonna defund them,
But if you're going to defund them, then what do?
Right.
you better
Like-
hope you're a Second Amendment loving person.
And back to the first
Exactly.
little conversation we had, they still don't have a duty, a constitutional duty to protect you.
Yeah.
So you can become
They
a cop
really don't.
and still not want to help someone.
Why do you think some of them fools are as big as they are? They're law monitors.
There you go. I'm a law monitor.
Somebody's breaking the law over there.
Yeah.
What does it say?
No,
How
seriously.
do I look? Like
But a lot of
damn
people don't
snitch?
know that.
You know, and here's another thing. Sorry, here's another way they can stop.
beating me.
In my opinion, they can stop a lot of shitty cops. stop hiring kids.
Yeah.
Dude, they hire these kids, right? At a real young age, because I think there's another thing that people need to talk about that I don't think that they really do. PTSD in cops, right? Dude, you put a cop who's not from the south side of San Antonio or the east side of San Antonio, right? That's lived in Stone Oak his whole life.
Yeah.
Then he goes to the east side for, a night, and he sees what it's like over there, right? Yep. He automatically, there's like, you create biases, right? Of everywhere you're at. There's a bias here, there's a bias there. I do it all the time, right? I'm too brown to be on that side of town. Because for me, I just know I don't belong there, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of cops that feel, I think, in my opinion, they feel that way, right? But when you get them young, and they can brainwash them, right? They can make them feel, put this chip on your shoulder and carry it with you, because if not, those people over there, they're gonna treat you like crap.
Oh my God,
Those
it's like training day.
Exactly.
I finally
It's exactly
saw it.
like training day.
I saw it like 2 days ago.
He's got to, dude.
Yes.
You have to make it. You have to make yourself out to be something that you're not, right? And the other thing that I think that they could do is stop putting law enforcement officers that aren't from the area in an area, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like, dude, it blew my mind. I guess I never really thought about like some of the arguments for defunding the police in Chicago, where they were talking about how there's cops in the suburbs, right, that don't live there. So suburb money, tax-paying money, as small as, they're collecting from these people, is going to pay an officer's salary who doesn't live there. So he's going to take their money and go spend it in the inner city or in the cities. You know what I mean? Like, he's not even going to put back into the community that he's supposed to be protecting, right? So I think there's better arguments. There's better ways to handle it than just, defund the police. Like, if my kid fails through school, am I going to defund the school? Well, no, dude. That's how you get more, stupid kids. Fix the problem. The school needs more money.
They need more funding.
They need more
fix the
funding
issue.
to get these teachers. And we could do, speaking of, if they, when you said, who do you call? We could do a reverse South Park. Did you see the COVID? Yeah, where they were like, the officers are teaching the class. The teachers could go be cops. Can you imagine a history teacher showing up?
Oh my God. That's freaking nuts.
Back in
That was so
1976.
stupid. Oh my God.
So we could settle this. If you want to rob them, let's go over some statute and some code here. Right quick.
Yeah, because they want to have like some like social workers or something like that. Like go out.
Yeah.
And
Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagínate.
Imagine.
Imagínate.
I couldn't even
I
imagine
don't
that,
know.
dude.
I don't know. I think. I guess that's why I'm so big on like being able to carry my guns and stuff like that, because I don't want to be able to
Plural.
depend on anything. Guns.
You know, I got a
That's
couple
true.
of buddies who walk around with that saying, what is it? I'd rather be judged by 12 than be carried by 6.
Then be
Yeah.
carried by 6. Exactly.
I don't know. I'm a
Hell
pretty
yeah.
big guy. They might take 12 guys to carry me.
I will be one
I
of
would
them.
rather be judged by 12 than be carried by 12. I'm like, yeah.
I've been a pallbearer twice in my life. I don't want to do it no more. I'm sorry. I love y'all guys, but
I've
I don't
never
want to
been
do
a
it no more.
pallbearer. That's a
You
boy
know,
job.
dude, with
heavy
all
work.
the technology we have, you think they'd have like a cool little remote control car? They drive up and
Something, right?
Imagine.
you got
A rock. It's all stuck.
I'm gonna create, dude. I'm gonna start a job. I'm gonna be
It's a business
it's a
model.
business.
Yeah, it's like an Uber or
a
something.
pallbearer.
I got pee.
I was thinking of the term right now.
What's our next segment, guys?
We can go into religion, I guess. Christianity.
What you got?
Well, I guess starting off as a kid, I mean, yeah, we had the whole little Catholic thing going on over there on Shepherd and Fowler Road. And, you know, we weren't, I guess my family, my mom and all that, she was always skeptical about it. So she never really truly believed in it. It wasn't until I was like about 12 years old where we started going to CCD because I had a girlfriend over there from Lido. So
You
kinda
went to
there a little bit.
CCD to go see your girlfriend?
Yeah, out
That's
there.
awesome.
And to pray.
Wow. Okay.
To pray on her.
Okay, buddy.
Double entendre.
Sorry.
So yeah, you know, I did that whole thing. And then as a about the time I went to college, I started getting into the word a little bit and getting into it. I started becoming a believer. I gave my life to Christ. Went to college, took a philosophy course and a historical geology course at the same time in the same semester. And yeah, man, it just I mean, hit me hard, and I was just like,
Yes.
it kind of made me realize like what the hell am I reading? Like at least like question it and try and study it to see where the hows and whys came about this book, because I mean this book is like the ultimate sacred thing. And I think you know, I think back to where, you know, when I applied at Bill Miller's, they made me read the handbook before I even got an application. And I think back and I'm like, dude, like, I haven't even read the Bible. And I'm over here saying I'm a Christian just because, you know, these people tell me some catchy phrases and converted me. And I was like, dude, I haven't studied, I haven't read it at all, period, let alone studied how it came about and where it came about from.
Yeah.
So I started digging into it a little bit deeper, and I kind of realized it, or at least through my own mind, that, I mean, maybe it's not all what it's as sacred as we think it is. I mean, I know we think it's or at least I think that it was very sacred to me. Then you think back at, I mean, the times and the locations. I mean, those places were illiterate back then. I mean, you think like, why would a god go to a place such as that?
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't
That
he
they
go
can't
to
read.
China where they were
Yeah.
more literate? I mean, they were
Yeah.
better off. They were I guess you can say smarter at the time. They were advanced. Why would he go out to, you know, Jerusalem in that area and start spreading the word there? And of course, it was just obviously just through word of mouth
Yeah.
for centuries. And then I started reading on how the actual New Testament was written out, and it kind of got me thinking, like, man, like you know, the first book, which was Mark, coincidentally my name, was written, you know, decades after Jesus was even dead. You know, and it's just like, you know, I think about, like, for instance, someone trying to talk about this podcast, you know, 40 years from now,
Right.
and saying who was there, what color shirt they were wearing, and all that stuff. I mean, it would be hard to match the exact same storyline of what was actually going on.
Yeah.
And then you go from there. It went to Matthew, which is my son's name, coincidentally, and then it went to Luke.
Maybe
was
there's a higher
basically
ground here.
Hey,
Yeah.
you never know.
Oh my
Luke,
gosh.
my nephew. So Luke was written in reference to Mark and Matthew. So it
What a
wasn't even
coincidence.
divine.
My name is Lucifer.
Oh my god.
my bad. cuz.
Yeah. John wasn't written till everybody was dead. It was around the time of Jesus.
Yeah.
And you think, like, and that one was the more divine one, where it held Jesus up even higher, where he was the light, the way, and all of that. And on the first three Gospels, which only the first two are real, the third one, Luke, was just kind of a reference of the first two. He wasn't as divine as he was in the last one, when everybody was basically gone.
Dude, I feel inadequate as fuck to talk about this. I mean, it's cool,
Yeah.
but because I dabbled into Catholicism, right? And when I started learning about, like, the Inquisition and the shit that they don't talk about when you sit in church, as
Yeah.
you know, when everybody's all the drones, they just sit there, right? Like, they don't talk about it, right? I never heard about it, right? Emperor Constantine, the indulgences that they sold to people,
Yeah.
like, if because the crown needed to go to war, they needed money, right?
Yeah.
Hey, remember that uncle that touches little kids? We can forgive him of that sin if you buy this piece of paper from us. Dude, I was like, really? Like, this is what
And,
everybody's
like,
sitting
I'm,
here.
I'm following along with where you're at, like, in your,
It's cool.
like, I am. I'm following along. Like, I know where you're at, because, like, I've read the Bible, and as weird as it sounds, I've read it front to back, and it's a confusing ass book.
Yeah. Some
Like,
stuff.
it's freaking confusing as hell.
Some stuff in Luke was written primarily for the Rome. They knocked out a lot of the stuff that Rome, because Rome ultimately killed Jesus, and a lot of that stuff is not said in Luke, only to sort of say, hey man, like we're trying to have this religion come into it, so
Yeah.
let's take that out. So we're, you know, let's not mention it, and we can mention everything about Jesus, all his good stuff, and like I said, it wasn't even God inspired, because it was written just based off of what that person interpreted
There's
from
stories.
that was like
and
the
Matthew.
first
Yeah.
the first ever assassination.
Yeah.
What's that?
Like, you're saying that
Jesus
Rome
Christ
killed-
was, like, the
Rome
first
killed
ever
Christ,
assassination.
right?
Yeah.
And, like, they didn't really talk about what they did, right? It was like, we'll keep all the good stuff
Yeah.
and not say what we did, right? That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
So, like,
yeah.
in a sense, it's like the very first assassination that, like, people I gotta say got away with, right? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, look at what the Vatican is, and look at
You
how
know,
many people follow that. Like,
and
okay, go ahead.
I don't know if y'all have ever, I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all have ever had coincidences or something in your lifetime where everything just worked out perfect, and you're like, man, like everything just aligned great to where, you know, we had a great time at the beach, where this person came through, or this person, you know, had a bad day and said, fuck it, I'll go with you. And that's the way I see Christianity, to where everything aligned just right, to where Rome needed some type of new religion to help the pagans out. And they said, you know what, let's intertwine it. Let's throw in Easter and Christmas, all of these pagan traditions, and let's combine them as one. The Jews are pissed off, and, you know, they want some type of forgiveness, because, you know, back then it was, I mean, in the Old Testament, I don't even think there was a hell. So hell started in the New Testament. And it brought on this fear, like, hey, you know what, like, you know, if we can't really control you in your real life, you know, we'll definitely control you in your afterlife. And I go back to it just basically being like the battered women strategy or tactic, where you know, people would beat their woman down just to build them back up and say, listen, you ain't shit without me.
Right.
And that's basically what I see that the Christian doctrine does, where it says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory, all are filthy rags, crimson red, that you can be as white as wool. They're basically saying, like, hey, you aren't shit, even though you didn't do shit, because this was done millenniums ago. You aren't shit, but you can definitely be shit if you just, you know, follow us and come through us.
You bend the knee.
Like you can't be anything more than what we're telling you can be.
Yeah, and by the way, if you don't follow us, you're gonna be in torture.
Yeah, then
forever.
you're going to hell. Yeah.
It's nuts, dude. Because like, by that same logic was what we were talking about. In my opinion, when I was trying to tell you, like we're only ever gonna be as wealthy or as prosperous or as high up as they let us be, right? And Crystal was like, no, I don't want to believe that, right? But like, it's the same exact thing, like what he just said. Like, I'm gonna build you up, right? Even though you didn't do anything, I'm gonna build you up, and you're gonna get to, you can be something through me, but you'll never be more than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
in that sentiment, what exactly would you accomplish if you were at their level? What benefit do you gain?
But you would never know, because you'd never get there.
Right, but if you did, what difference does it make? And if everybody can get there, if we're all on the same level, then like, what is there?
Socialism.
It's just, I mean, it's just like asking a dog, how would you feel if you were human?
Right.
I mean, he would never know.
He would never know.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Unless he's Airbud.
Lexi, are you hiding
Airbud.
No, what is it? Jeff Goldblum, nature will find a way.
I've seen Brian on Family Guy, like, he wants to be human.
No, and like that, I guess, like, to me, that's why I always call it like a false sense, or what is the it's an illusion in my eyes, and that's why, like, that's why I feel inadequate, because I couldn't cite a Bible, or like, to me, I could, there's no way I could ever read a book and put any kind of faith into it, knowing that it's been written, rewritten, translated, done this way, done that way. Then, because then what stops somebody, like you said, from saying, you know what? Look, man, the Bible's, look at that. It's a pretty thick Bible.
What stops Rome from saying that this is, like, we killed Jesus, but we're going to say that he did amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what stops Rome from doing that? You know, and that's what it is. Like, the Bible is a book. Like,
I think God, in general, gets a huge pass. You know, if you were to just take away that noun, well, I guess it's a pronoun, you know, God, and just fill in the blank, you know, without God, I cannot get into heaven. And you switch out God and you put, without the Loch Ness Monster, I can never get into the lake. I mean, how crazy would that think, or how crazy would that be if we were actually to believe that, you know, the Loch Ness Monster exists, the Tooth Fairy, the Santa Claus, all of that really truly existed, because we have the same amount of proof for Santa Claus that we do for actual God.
Right.
exactly.
You know, but he does get this ultimate pass. And then if, you know, the second you don't believe in that, and I have aunts that will just basically, you know, like cast me out and just say, hey, you're going to burn in hell forever for this.
Like Dimebag's there.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go. Is he going to be jamming? Right? Is he Marshall?
Dude, well, because dude, and that's why, like, man, George Carlin,
Eddie
man.
Van Halen just joined.
Hell yeah.
Man,
That's a
just
good
saying.
set.
Damn. Come on, too soon, bro. Too soon.
I'm over here shedding a tear for
Come on.
Oh.
feelings.
I had a thought I was going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, anyway.
I don't know. I think it goes back to the point that we made in the last podcast, right? So I think everybody's heaven and everybody's hell is different. right? Like, it's got nothing to do with the book. It's got nothing to do with your religion. It's got nothing to do with any of that, right? The Bible is just that. It's a book that was written by
Men.
men.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
It's not history. It's his story.
Yeah.
And the thing with the Bible that's not like any other book, you can read any other book and say, "Oh, that's not true," or "I'm against that." But with the Bible, you cannot do that. It's, you know, as it's said in there, you have to fully believe that everything that is said in there is absolutely the
Right.
word of God.
But that's
And
so then where does that leave you if you don't?
you're basically sinning,
You're questioning.
and there
You're
is no
questioning
sin
everything.
greater than the other,
Yeah.
as
Because-
the Bible
But
says.
so then what about when people say, because I've heard the line before and I kind of like it, that God created us with free will. So if I use that free will to not believe in Him,
What I tell
There's
people on that
consequences for free will.
is, what I tell people on that is, do you think God knows when you're gonna die?
probably, if there is a
He
God,
created you in
He
his
created,
image.
yeah,
So I mean, technically, you don't even know when you're gonna die.
right,
So God knows when you're gonna die.
right.
So He basically knows the choices that you're gonna make already.
Yeah.
He created you.
So then why? But
so
if he's
if
all
you haven't
forgiving,
even
then
made
he's
those,
all
if you haven't even made those choices, then how does He already know what you're gonna do if He doesn't have some type of part in it?
exactly. No, and
Man,
I
that's
see
high
that.
talk.
And okay.
Exactly right. Where's the weed?
I
I don't answer questions.
No, but like, so, like, my biggest thing is when I'm at a funeral and I hear someone say, "Oh, well, God needed His angel back."
Yeah.
Why? And then they say, "Oh, well, you know, God wouldn't give you more than what you can handle." Why? Like, why all this pain and
You
why
want
all
the
this?
truth?
Like, what did we
You can't
do?
handle the truth.
Exactly. Like, what did we do that was so bad in my life? Like, what have I done to deserve this type of pain?
But I think that would be subjective to the Bible, like, because it's funny, like, to God's word, right? Because like we talked about last podcast about like how I talked about getting rid, or not getting rid of, but just setting aside the 10 Commandments and just being a good human being, right? And you said, well, like, so who judges who's a good human being, right? It's subjective.
Right. Exactly. Who says
It's
that?
subjective. Like,
Do y'all know the 10 Commandments?
Yes.
I used to, but I just don't care anymore.
Do you think any of the 10 Commandments are relevant
No,
to these days?
no.
Again, if,
I think
if you don't
they
have
stopped being relevant a
Yes.
long time ago.
No,
if you don't have a faith in
100%.
Christ, then the 10 Commandments are irrelevant.
No,
But Christ
that's
wasn't
not-
around when the 10
and that's
Commandments
not-
were made.
Exactly.
God was.
God, yes.
Well,
said Moses.
that's not true because those are the 10 Commandments are your general guideline to being a good human being.
Moral.
You shall not kill anybody. You shall not covet thy neighbor's wife. Like, I don't expect my husband to go to the freaking white trash bitch that lives up the street and go have sex with her.
Air mattress ash.
No, like, that's not gonna happen. You know, like, that's
See that? I'm gonna find.
We go on the
No,
couch.
you have
There's
a
a
name
meme.
for
There's a
it. That's
meme. There's a meme. I'm
Like,
gonna
what the
find. I'm gonna
hell?
find the
So
meme.
here's my thing, right? I won't even go scripture. Let's break that down, and let's say the moral compass, right? If to me, good is, like we said, subjective, right? But when you give the power of being subjective to a human, we're imperfect, right?
Right.
Because right now we have people creating laws to remove someone else's right, whether they want to or not, right? They didn't
Yeah.
agree to this, but our standard of good is the majority rule, right? The mob mentality,
Right. Democracy.
right?
Not
so
being a republic.
When you get rid of the human element and say Christ is the standard for good, we can never change it. There's no way to change it. There's no human moral compass.
And I think to that the human element is already in only because they were the ones who wrote the Bible. So the human element is already in there and is basically saying, because if you look like the Mosaic Law, which is the 10 Commandments and all the other laws, I don't know if y'all ever seen any of the other laws, but there's one where if your wife's having a period, you cannot have physical contact with her whatsoever at all.
Oh,
At
fuck
all,
that.
at all. If you cannot eat shrimp, you cannot eat shellfish, you cannot have tattoos, you cannot cut your hair at all, you cannot cut your beard. I mean, there's all of these laws that are basically God's law, and God's law should be God's law, but yet we don't follow any of those laws.
Right, because it's the same thing with like the Democrats. They want to interpret it to
But
fit their
that's-
agenda.
But that's what it is. It's the Democrats is what happens. Like, you look at Republicans and they're hard leaning towards God's law is the ultimate sacrifice.
Y'all
But
know
then
how the Bible was made? It was made by the Catholics.
Obviously.
The OG Christians. They're the original Christians.
Yeah.
There was a council in the 300s that actually grouped up, and they told everybody in the area, hey, just bring whatever religious books you have of this doctrine, bring them all up. We'll sort through them, and we'll make this book. You got the gospel in the New Testament. You have the Gospels, then you have Acts, and then from there you have everything that Paul wrote. Paul has a big part in the Bible, even though he wasn't even around when Jesus was around. He was actually an enemy. He was a killer of Christians. He was Saul. He turned into Paul, and yet he went on a tour basically and wrote all of those small books, Galatians, Corinthians, all of those books. And all of those books, the way they're organized is from biggest to smallest in the Bible. And that was the Catholics who said, all right, we'll do it like this. Boom, boom, we'll put
So what about the Book of Enoch?
I'm not really too sure about that.
Okay.
I've heard about that.
I've heard it.
I'm just
curious.
One of those the lost books. I'm not really too sure about that, but I mean, then again, it was a book. It's just maybe they just did not accept it. They were just like, you know what, this one's got too much. I mean, I heard Jesus has a book, and they threw that out. And this is just what I heard. I mean, I know someone can probably just prove me wrong, but this is just
and
off of
also
what I
like
heard.
so it's a lot. Like when you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys know. Like
I don't know.
Well, I'm saying like, but you know a little bit more about religion and church and stuff than I do. I would say, because all I care about is, like I said, for me it's always been this thing. Like once I stopped believing in like the Catholic faith, right? And I just saw the hypocrisy in faith in
people,
in the church,
In people.
in people.
but through a church.
But through a church. No,
because
you're
because
right.
every
He's right.
church, no matter what it is, you could call it a mosque, a synagogue, or whatever they're called, right? A temple. Inside of that house are made up of people, right? And the hypocrisy inside of that, dude, I couldn't get past it as a kid, man. Like when
you got to remember, people are imperfect.
right,
Yeah.
But then I mean, I don't understand. I don't know, dude. I can't fathom.
See, like
Putting-
me, the only way I can, for me, I've had a personal spiritual experience, right? To me, I'm not I'll 100% be honest. I know the books of the Bible, right? I have never really read it in its entirety. I have perspectives from what I learned as a child, right? In Bible study, I learned the stories of like David and Goliath, Samson,
Yeah.
we learned
got
Sodom and
Samson.
Gomorrah.
Your most
You know what I
famous
mean?
stories.
I've learned those stories.
Y'all know the story of David and how he got married to his wife.
Not that far, like I said.
He actually he was liking this girl, right? But this girl was married to one of his top generals or someone in his army. And so what he did was he sent his friend to the front lines to get killed purposely.
So he can marry his
so
wife.
he can marry his wife.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't see that or don't know that, but you see that in there and you're like, this is the person that y'all hold or that they hold up high.
Yeah.
And a
is
lot of
it-
that is not said just in the norm in kids' Bibles or anything like
Yeah.
that.
But I mean, the same thing can go for anything in the Bible, right? So you have David and Goliath, right? Like you were talking about, they're brothers, and they have to fight each other, right? You look
That's Cain and
at
Abel.
who is it? Solomon.
Cain.
It's Cain and Abel.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cain and Abel. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They
I've
didn't
been
fight each
drinking.
other. He killed them.
Right. But then you also look at Solomon, right? Where he had to kill one of his kids to get something more. But then you also look at Adam and Eve, right? Eve is forever punished. Females are forever punished with the pain of childbirth, the pain of every month having a period and everything. If your God is all forgiving and all everything, then why are you holding a grudge?
Do you think chickens have to go through the same thing? Because every egg that we eat is basically that same thing.
Exactly.
It's a menstrual cycle.
No. You're 100%. I've raised chickens before.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
But see, like for me, it's more of he's your creator, but he's also judgment, right? So he does put his wrath upon the people.
But if he is all
is
forgiving,
judgment.
then why?
No. The concept of forgiveness wasn't until Jesus Christ, his sacrifice.
That doesn't even make any sense.
Well, again, he sent it's
None of
John
this shit
3
makes any sense. to
John
me.
3
That doesn't
16,
even
right?
make any sense.
John 3:17.
That's so stupid because you're not supposed to worship any God above God
They're all-
Himself.
it's the whole- they call it the Holy
it's
Trinity.
totally contradictory towards itself.
And that's what the Jews say. The Jews are like, hey, look at the Ten Commandments. Look at rule number 1. that you shall not have any other god other than
above
me.
Yes.
Yes. So
Who's above God?
nobody.
Jesus.
No.
Jesus.
It's the
Jesus
Holy
is-
Trinity.
No.
The
Jesus
Father,
is
the
what
Son, the
everybody-
Holy Spirit.
Trinity is not
Exactly.
in the Bible. There's no. You will
Dude, if
never
people
find
knock
Trinity.
on me for believing the earth is flat, this is retarded. This is retarded, man, because like
No,
it is because
But this is why when I read the Bible front to back, I was like, dude, this doesn't make any sense, right? Like at that point in my life, we were having issues, and I went to the Bible because that was what I knew growing up as a kid. And I read the Bible front to back, and I'm like, this is so stupid. This doesn't make any sense. There's so much against these 10 commandments that we're supposed to follow, because I follow the 10 commandments. Like, these are your 10 things that you should not do in life, right? You should not do these 10 things and you're good to go. But everything in the freaking Bible goes against those 10 commandments.
Oh no, there's stories. There's stories
Yeah.
being told.
well, see, but that's my point. So like, dude,
There's
we can
stories.
everybody's cool to believe stories, right? Stories, but that's why, like, to me, the religion thing, no matter how far back you go, because I don't know, in some of the things that I've read, some of the documents that I've seen, there were 15 other religions that pre-exist Christianity that tell the same
Christianity's not a
stories.
religion.
Yes.
Whatever, it's all the same dumb shit.
It's
They're all
doctrine.
stories, right?
Yeah.
It's all stories, but
The
the
Trinity. Yeah.
yes, the same exact 15 religions that pre-existed that have the same. Somebody died, somebody rose.
And I think it goes back to just everything working out perfectly to where Rome needed something. Rome was the big power. Rome was basically the United States back then.
Right.
And they needed something. They
dude,
carried it.
oh my God,
They
you just-
and then
we
it
going
goes
into
back
another
to
topic?
He's
King James.
flabbergasted.
So
No, because I tell people that all the time. I'm like, dude, Rome never fell. It never fell, right? F-E-L-L, fell.
yeah.
Not fail. It failed, but it never fell. It changed. It
Yeah.
morphed. We are Rome.
Yeah.
We are
Basically,
Rome.
yeah.
We can sit around and pay money
It
to
was-
go see two guys fight in an octagon. How different is that than being in the Coliseum?
Yeah.
Right? We have arenas that we call the Coliseum. Like,
But they're
From-
doing it willfully too.
no, I get
We're
that.
not forcing them to do it.
Nobody
They're
is,
doing
right?
it by choice.
But that doesn't mean, again, it changed. It's not that it like back then, there was slaves, right? People that were thrown in there. You go do it, right? Nowadays, they just figured that we can't do
They're
that to
willing
people.
to go in and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because
Because they're getting paid.
Because
I'm
you're-
gonna go in and get my.
'cause they're
Yeah,
giving
ask,
you-
ask them in Rome if they got
smashed
paid for what they
Yeah.
did.
that's what I'm
for
saying.
real.
But that's what I'm telling you. It failed, right? As it was because people were tired of being forced, right? So let's give people the illusion of freedom. We're gonna give you paper money that means nothing, right? And honestly, it doesn't. It holds value because
at
we
it.
give it value.
Football, basketball,
They're all sports.
UFC, volleyball, and it's all
Rome.
Rome. Like that's what it is.
Do y'all
It
know?
was-
I'm sorry.
No, do your thing.
No,
do
go
your thing.
ahead.
Do y'all know anybody who speaks Hebrew?
I do not.
No.
It's an outdated language.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what the Bible was written in.
Yes.
Do you think why would God, if he knew everything, why would he write it out in a language that is non-existent now?
Because it's exactly like Hans was saying. Like it's exactly it's a story. Like that's what it is. To keep you interested in it, we're going to tell you a story. Like, you know, and as funny as it sounds, but you look at the Johnny Cash movie, right?
I walk the line.
Yes, Walk the Line. So you look at that movie, and the kid says it from the very beginning before he gets eaten up by the saw. He says, well, I want to be a preacher one day. Well, why are you always reading that book? Well, because I can't help anybody if I don't know what stories to tell them, is what he says. There's stories. That's what it is. Like it's no different
Could
than
you give advice as an adult without your own personal situation?
You shouldn't be giving advice then, in my opinion.
Right. So if you read stories on other people's testimonies, that's information.
But you have
Yeah.
to go off. You have to simply believe that that's the way it went down. So you could be leading
That's what faith
somebody,
is.
but you could be leading somebody down the wrong path because
Yeah.
that book is nothing to me, nothing more than a bunch of stories, right?
So here's an example, right? So I got pregnant with Madison when I was 16 years old, right? And I went to my CCD teacher at the time, and I told him, hey, is there a way to get out of going to hell when you've obviously made this type of sin? You've
Oh no! Hey,
slept with someone
I've
outside
asked
of
a dumb
marriage,
question before too.
right?
No. I had like a smart ass remark for that.
Stop being a jerk. Stop.
She's talking about the Catholic religion.
No, seriously. So
We'll make an exception.
Let's go to the confessional
And
booth.
I'm done.
I'm sorry.
I've asked questions too. I'm like, I have a Cowboys from Hell tattoo. Am I gonna go to heaven because of this? And they're like, oh yeah, you'll be all right. Just ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, but I was 16 when I asked that question. I wasn't 20.
Yeah.
See, but and then to
I wasn't
me,
an adult. I was a child.
and so then to me, like all of this, man, religion in general, to me is just, again, is nothing more than a control mechanism. Because if you're telling me that the Bible was written in Hebrew, right, and they picked a language God picked, right, a language that was outdated or that there hardly anybody knew, right? Supposedly, allegedly, but like, so then somebody translated it, right? Like from the beginning, though, I don't see how that nobody sees that that's simply a way to control people. That's it. In my opinion, there's no good, there's no bad, I don't see it that way. Not the book itself. I don't see that the book is telling us be this or be that or blah blah blah, this or that. Because when it was like, when the indoctrination process is happening, they simply use it to tell you to be good or be bad. And if you're bad, this is what happens, right? Like,
yeah, but they're saying be their kind of good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And every religion has their kind of good, right?
But then, like, you look at it, right?
Jehovah's Witness.
So kids get baptized, right, as babies.
Yeah.
Right? A baby gets baptized to get rid of your ultimate sin.
Yes.
Right? You get baptized as a baby. Well, as that baby grows up and they get older, me as a parent can tell my kid, hey, don't steal anything, don't lie about this, and don't anything. Kids are going, because they are given free will, they're going to do whatever they feel like doing. So if they decide to steal something, it doesn't matter how much I've beat into my child. It doesn't matter how much I've told my child, how many times we've gone to church. It doesn't matter how much money I've given the church. It doesn't matter any of that. My kid is ultimately going to make the choice that he's going to make. Mm-hmm. So if my kid decides to steal something from a store, whether it be a candy bar or a lollipop or something, that is my kid's choice. Why should my kid be persecuted for the rest of his life for making a decision when you gave my kid free will?
Yeah.
The only thing about free will for me, and again, I'm not a Bible enthusiast. I'm not going to sit here and say I've read it and I know everything about it. I'm just as lost as the average person who's really hasn't read it or understood it, right? Mm-hmm. It's where my personal belief comes from. Like you said, free will. You're given free will, right? You have a choice to make, right? That free will, to me, the concept of John 3:16 and 3:17, right? It is God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son as a sacrifice so that whoever believed in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. The concept of him dying was for your sin. He forgave you of your sin, right? You're not going to hell so long as you believeth in me.
But that's where God went against his 10 commandments.
So with that, I would say, okay, so say you got a monk, okay? He's just staying in his temple, never hurts a fly. He just prays and to whatever deity he has, right? His whole life, just from birth, he was raised there all the way until he died, right? He ultimately died. Say he had a chance. A ministry came through and talked Jesus, and they chased him out, right? So he had his chance to get with God or with Jesus, right? Then you got this other guy who's on death row for murdering people. He did a mass murder. At the end of his life, right before his last meal, he gives his life to Christ. And he wipes his sins clean. Is that guy allowed to go in heaven and the monk not?
I heard a whole, like, it sucks because it's a comedy bit, but it's the same thing, right? You ever go to a funeral for a rapist or a murderer? Like, you go to the church, does the guy standing there be like, this motherfucker's gonna burn in hell for what he did?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and I guess with that, everybody, wants to be the good guy. When you're at anyone's service, I mean, basically that's what it is he was a good guy. He was a good guy. It wasn't, you know, he had a badass fucking car. You know, it
Yeah.
wasn't anything crazy like that. But you know, which one would go to heaven? You know, which one lived the righteous life? You know,
Well,
Depends
and
on what
that's-
story that you were
Yeah.
told.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into the whole next segment that you had on there, the Black Lives Matter, right?
Allah.
All right.
No, I'm gonna go into that only
Okay.
because so the whole George Floyd thing, right? So everyone's like idolizing this person, right? But you look at his past history and what he was in jail for and everything that he got convicted of, but because the last 2 years of his life he gave to God. Oh my God, we should worship this guy.
I mean, he technically
not
didn't give it to
exactly
God. I mean,
me.
he had counterfeit money, and I guess allegedly, I don't really know, but and then also he was high on fentanyl.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I mean, and there is a link between, or some type of correlation between, I guess, not being able to breathe and dying from.
No,
From fentanyl?
and that okay. So I'm not talking about that.
Oh, okay.
100%, I agree with the fact that the cop was a fucking douchebag, and he should have never held him down the way that he did.
Absolutely.
No person deserves to die that way. 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But the fact that these parents are letting their kids idolize
him.
this person, like, I get it, right? He's black. He died by police. The cops should have been, you know, reprimanded for this. They should have something, right? Something should have happened to those cops. 100% agree, right? But the fact that they're idolizing this guy and they're letting their kids idolize him. So it's the whole what did I tell you the other day? The Harley Quinn Joker thing, right? I don't think it's right that little kids idolize Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn, when she met the Joker, she was abused, she was raped, she was everything in there. Why would you let your daughters idolize this person?
Yeah.
The same thing with George Floyd. Why would you let your sons idolize this person? Just for the fact that, I'm sorry that he got killed the way that he did,
Yeah.
but this guy was not a good person.
I mean,
Like, he just wasn't.
But
Yeah.
by whose standards?
Yeah,
I think-
you're casting judgment.
I think.
I mean, I get it. I know what you're saying. It's just, and again though, like, so letting kids. Dude, there's not a time where somebody doesn't idolize somebody, right? I've got bands tattooed all over me. I've idolized all kinds, but I don't believe in the shit anyway. And I guess it, like, again, to me it goes back to, like, what stories were you told? What story did you happen to believe, right? So, like, the people that are idolizing this guy, you don't even know that they even care about the conversation that we're having, right? They could say, I don't care about the guy in the sky. Like, this guy died right here, right now. Kind of like if you say that, like you were saying earlier, we have just as much proof that Santa Claus existed as actually God existed, right? Like, this guy existed. We know if he physically lived here and something happened in our lifetime right here, right now. So those people that are idolizing him, I mean, again, it's just, you have to take out the fact that you can't take out the fact that maybe they just don't believe in a story. So, like, those people that are like, oh, he did this and he did that, well, maybe that's the story they believe. Like, you know.
I definitely see where you're coming from, and I think that around the same timeline, David something, the black
The cop. Yeah, I
yeah, they
forget
was
his name,
protecting
dude.
the pawn shop.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that he should be the one that would be idolized. I mean, he did all kinds of years of service. I mean, something like 30 years as a cop, and he was helping out a friend protect his pawn shop, you know.
Yeah.
And he does not get the praise that George Floyd does.
Yeah.
And yeah, he
Is
George
he the
Floyd
one that
is-
got, like, beat up? And
he got
everything?
killed. No, he
Right?
got killed at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
David Dorn.
Yeah.
By people that were rioting
Yes.
because of the whole Black Lives
Protesting,
Matter.
protesting.
They were protesting. I'm sorry,
No,
they
they
weren't
were
rioting.
rioting.
They were fucking rioting, dude. There's a difference between rioting and protesting. I'm sorry, but there really is.
But I mean, but then going into that, if you're gonna go into that topic,
oh,
that-
100%.
that's what I'm saying. But like, so like, I've seen the argument made, like, if Black Lives Matter, why don't all Black Lives matter, right? So I was watching a video earlier of Caitlyn. Right?
Yes.
Where
oh
she
my
was
god,
talking
that was my
about-
favorite argument ever.
She was talking about all the kids that are aborted, right?
Yeah.
The 400 whatever thousand kids a year,
Yeah.
black kids that are aborted. Why is nobody speaking up for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind that. The two little kids, that one little girl that got shot in Crossfire, like, she wasn't even but nobody's out screaming for her. Nobody's yelling for her,
Yeah.
right?
No, they're screaming for George Floyd, who was a drug addict
Yeah.
and drug
But-
dealer
and-
and everything.
and-
No, they're screaming for that guy.
and like I guess to an extent, right? At least I can say I'm gonna be honest, and I would never know, right? I don't live that life, right? I'm not black. I'm Hispanic. Do I know what it's like to be racially profiled? Yes.
100%.
I work in shirts. I work in Bernie. I work in New Braunfels. Like, man, you go to any of those places and they all look at you like, hey, Pedro, the grass is outside. Fool, you don't belong in here. But like at the same time, like I said, those arguments of like their only argument is that there's this unequal number of black people dying at the hands of cops. But like I said, the movement Black Lives Matter only care about those lives.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, there's not an outrage of black people running to the police department to sign up for jobs.
Well, no, I feel you, right? You want to fix the problem.
You want to fix the problem, then
Yeah.
you know what? Instead of going and destroying your city, why don't you go sign up to be a cop? Why don't you go take the police department?
You're like, no, cops kill people.
Right. Like you go do, you want to see a change? Go do it.
Be the change.
Yes, be the change. Go sign up to be a cop. Go sign up to go through the academy.
What's that cliche? You can't change the world unless you change yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that would fix 99% of this issue.
Because I think it's like 94% of all black people who have been killed from like 1976 to 2004 were killed by black people. 94%. And you think about that, it's like, well, black people are killing themselves, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you leave them
Well, but-
alone, they kill each other more than.
But I
Yeah.
think it goes across the boards. Like I think that's where we lose people, man. Like especially black people who are quick to say, "Oh, you don't know blah blah." Dude, Mexicans are no different.
Yeah.
Dude, you put Mexicans like in California, right, or South Texas, down by the border, dude. If you're a patriot and you love your country and you're defending that country to just say you live on the border, right? There's people coming over. They're killing people. Like it
Or
happens
look
everywhere.
at Mexico in general.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, the cartels
their
are
own
killing people, dude.
Yeah.
And we had videos forever on YouTube, on Facebook.
And that's still going on.
No, I know, I get it.
That's still them taking Mexican females over the border to be trafficked to
And
carry
you-
their drugs over here because they're U.S. citizens, so they can come back to slavery still exists. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says, but slavery still exists, and it exists more in the Hispanic community than it does anywhere else. But at the same time, you don't see Hispanics going to Target and freaking looting the place.
Yeah, but
Like-
but I think slavery exists on a major fucking scale. If you live in the United States of America, that to me, is it better than anywhere else? Unequivocally, yes. Right? I'm not discrediting that, but I'm saying, like, we all get up, we all go to work. It's like clockwork, right? Every day we get up, we go. It's the Truman Show. You get up every day, like.
But
nothing-
I'm talking about the kids that get picked up, like the kids that get picked off, the ones that get taken over to Mexico and they're used as the drug slaves and stuff. Like Queen of the South, bro. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like,
Well, that's from the person who just referenced Harley Quinn. She's a cartoon.
seriously, I'm talking about Queen of the South. Like the people that get picked off because they look white or whatever, but they have an American status that they can get taken to Mexico and they can get sent back here full of drugs and stuff like that. Like slavery still exists for the Hispanic culture. Like it just does.
Yeah, I mean, again, but the amount of people that are trying to come over here and even legally, I mean, to me, it's do you sit around and wait for somebody to come and kill you or take you? You know what I mean? Like, so
That,
like
and if we're racist by a system like systemic racist, why are people so eager to get here?
that, dude.
Right.
I just listened
Right.
to.
We're that bad.
I don't
why,
think we're.
Why come here?
I don't think there's some type of racial injustice through the government.
I don't think.
I
Well,
really don't. I don't
I
either.
think that there is, but it's against.
There's people that
basically
have
the white
prejudices
people.
still, right?
No, I mean-
that's the crime of the individual person,
Because
not a system.
I mean, you
Yeah.
look at what's it called? Where they give the black people the spot in college first.
affirmative action.
affirmative
Yeah,
action,
affirmative
yeah.
action. I mean,
That's racism
yeah.
by definition.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's
because based on the
Right.
color of your skin, you get this
because my kid has
opportunity.
gotten all A's, but because your kid's gotten nothing but C's, and he's black, you're gonna get a spot above my kid that has had all A's.
Well, look at
and
the
she's
Asians.
Hispanic, like,
Yeah,
The Asians are just they're suing. I forget what school it is, but because they have to score higher than everybody else because they're just assumed to be smarter.
Yeah.
Like that's
Hell
like,
yeah.
damn, that's racism. Like,
Yeah.
that's like saying, how do you fix your broken phone? You put it in a bowl of rice. Like, the Asians will
Yeah,
come.
they're bad motherfuckers, man.
But that's, dude, again, it's all, it's there, man. But like, and I used to be guilty of it, man. I would sit around all the time, dude, and just be like, white people, white people, white people, white people, right?
Yeah.
But like, we talked not too long ago. We're like, what did I do differently in my life, right? Like, did I go to college, right? Nobody told me to get married at 21. Nobody said, hey, dumbass, go have 3 kids and not go to college and go make a better life for yourself. You reap what you sow. You know what I mean? And while I'm happy with my life, right, as it stands, do I have ambition? Well, yeah, my kids will be all over 18. I'm like 42 when that happens. Like, I've got a lifetime, ahead of me to take care of some things. But man, I remember being that guy when I was.
But I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like, they don't understand that they can do better than their parents. I was just talking to Madison yesterday when I picked her up. She was talking about her college prep course, and she has no idea what she's supposed to be doing at this point in her life. And I'm like, Madison, you should be looking at scholarships. You should be looking at colleges. And she's like, well, I just want to go to the Alamo community colleges. And I'm like, no, like, you should want to be outside of that.
But
like,
I heard
you
Charlie
should
Kirk
be.
The other day when he said, if you take out money, right, and you say, if there's not an issue of money or finances to get where you want to go, what would you do?
Yeah.
What would you do on your time, with your time, if money wasn't an issue? Follow that.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, again, like I look at, like, dude, honestly, I don't know if I want my kids in college because the system is set up for nothing but perpetual debt. Like,
Right.
a lot of there's people that are 60 years old still paying back student loans, right? Yep. And besides the debt.
No, but I think that's where we're smarter in the sense. Like, that's where, like we've told our kids, right?
And
like,
success
especially
is subjective. So
true.
Yeah.
finances doesn't mean that
No,
you're
Because
successful.
I
Exactly.
think I'm
Yeah.
successful.
But then,
in
so
the
there,
position that I'm in,
but
I
then
think I'm successful.
what's the detriment on the other side? If you're in debt, can you still be successful with that amount of debt hanging over you? If you just never put yourself in the debt to begin with, right? Like, because
I
a lot
think
of
you could be, so long as you didn't have any kids or a spouse.
I know, but then what kind of life is that? I mean,
It
if
just
No,
goes
you're
back
happy,
to
and it
simple
really is.
survival,
Yes.
right? You have
Well, then you would go into a spot where you'd be, don't live in freaking Stone Oak. Like, go live on the south side and pay for an efficiency that's going to cost you $500 a month, $100 in light, $150 in your cell phone bill, and you're bringing home $3,000 every 2 weeks.
I break it down as simple
Then
as
at
this:
that
if
point,
you're alive
pay
tomorrow,
back the rest towards
you're
your
successful.
loans.
I know,
Say that
but
one more time.
sorry, go
I
ahead.
just said, for me, if you're alive tomorrow, you're successful.
Nah, straight up.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
get survival.
back to what you just said right now. Like, then why go put yourself in that kind of debt to live that style of life? Like, right after.
Well, because once you're done paying off that debt, then, like Junior says, if you can't buy something 5 times over, then you shouldn't own it.
Yeah, but the system
That's
isn't.
David Ramsey.
It is, yeah, no, straight
Yeah,
up. Well,
yeah,
we
that's
all
definitely
on the
good.
same page.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's
But
freaking
Dave
amazing. I live
Dave
my life
Ramsey
like
would
that now.
probably tell you the same thing. Dude, getting into college, unless you're gonna pay for it yourself, figure out a way to pay for it.
But that's where we've told our kids, like, Southwest is offering that program that they're allowing them the 2 years of community college. In those 2 years, you can have your associate's degree. If you decide to go to a university after that to get your bachelor's degree, well, then in those 2 years, you know what you should have done? You should have gotten your ass up and you should have gone and worked. You should have started saving money so that you can pay for that, so that you don't have to take
And if
out
we stop
student loans.
doing student loans, the tuition costs go down.
Again, so then we're the issue is like almost every other issue.
government
Take the
assistance.
power out of the government
Right.
to subsidize schools.
Exactly.
Because I get what you're saying. I wholeheartedly get it. Me and you understand that. The everyday average minority doesn't. So what's the first
They
thing?
don't know any better.
Exactly.
Nobody knows that. Nobody is taught that. They don't teach that in the schools
Because
they
that
don't
system
tell
is
you
set
in the
up that
schools.
way.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm telling you, like, it's easy to say because I've gone down a rabbit hole and then it sparked conversation. Now we're here having this conversation, right? But like people in general, that's why the system thrives as it does. And then because there's something else when you mentioned Charlie Kirk, right? That video that I sent you, there's a whole other side to this, right? First of all, the financial, right? It sucks to be in that kind of debt and then graduate or not graduate, that debt's on your head, right?
Yep.
Okay. Then there's the other side of this. The left agenda in college. Like how you got to take like courses that are hard left leaning
Right.
just to graduate with a degree. That's not even, that class isn't even part of your degree, but they're forcing you like at school to take that little girl was talking about, I wish I would have brushed up on it to name the course, but they're forcing, kids to, first of all, you're paying for it, right? You should be able to take what you want to take.
Yep.
Aside from
Left-handed puppetry.
Exactly, dude.
But if you're paying for
Lesbian
it,
interpretive dance.
if you're paying for it, go ahead. By all means, let's see how far it gets you.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I personally, dude, I feel like I did all right for myself. I'm
As
not
long
saying,
as you believe that.
yeah, straight up.
Exactly.
And I only limited myself. Like Crystal, she's got student loan debt, right? That didn't stop her. She's doing great. She did.
We have student
Oh,
loan debt.
what-
It wasn't just my decision.
I feel you. I'm just saying it's in. Never mind. Anyway, it's debt. It's stupid. It's dumb because the way the government has it set up is you almost feel, because at the time we almost felt
We didn't have to.
we didn't have to.
We look surpassed food, water, shelter is the bare necessity.
No,
Get it
and
how
at
you
that
can
time-
get it. And that's
and
it.
at that time, we were beyond that.
Do y'all feel that it's possible, or would y'all encourage y'all's kids to try to be successful without
Yes.
college?
Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
because dude, you can go to a trade school,
Yeah.
spend half the
Yeah.
money, come out with the same education, and go straight into a job. Whether it's, even if it's not a high paying job, right? I know a guy who went to HVAC, right? He went to a trade school for HVAC, right? Graduated, did whatever he had to do. He got in. It didn't work out the way he thought it was going to work out. He's back to work with my company, right? But at the same time,
But
like,
that guy's problem was that he had a wife and he had
Yeah.
a kid on the way.
yeah,
So like with my kids, so what we've told them is that, you know what, dude, once you graduate from high school, whether you decide to go to work or you decide to go to college, you can stay home. If so long as you're doing one or the other. If you're going to college, you don't have to pay any bills around here. If you're working, you pay a fifth of the bills because there's 5 of us in the household. You pay a fifth of the bills. So when you break down a $200 light payment into fives, you're looking at
40 bucks.
yeah, exactly. So it's 30, 40
how'd
bucks.
you do that so fast?
Yeah, that didn't
I'm
click in my head.
sober.
I've been drinking.
I'm sober. I was
I've been
like,
drinking, so
He's
I
like,
couldn't
you
think
see the
about
color
that.
of my skin?
Yeah.
denominator. I'm like, hey, cuz, hold up your fingers. What do you got over there?
So that was always, that's always been our mentality with our kids. It's like, dude, don't leave home. If you don't have to leave home, don't leave home until you are ready. Until you are financially ready, do not leave home. I would rather you live here than to go out and buy a house or get someone pregnant or something, and then have to deal with that. Like, just stay home. Either you work or you go to school. If you go to school, don't worry
it goes
about
back
bills.
to
If
food,
you
water,
work,
shelter, right? So
Yeah.
if you have this expectation that I can't afford a 10-bedroom house with 10 and a half baths or whatever, I can't move out, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had this conversation with myself. You know what I mean? You have these expectations that maybe you can't fulfill, so you feel like I shouldn't do it anyways.
Yeah.
Right. You become indoctrinated to your own thoughts, like, oh well, how do I be successful if I can't afford a car payment, if I can't afford this? Like, again, you don't really need those things. You put that
Yeah.
own pressure on yourself.
Exactly.
Food, water, shelter. So long as you have those, again, if you're alive tomorrow, you're successful.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's what we try to beat into the kids.
Like physically.
Madison's stupid.
Allegedly.
Madison's 17, right? Like, she's a senior. She's about to graduate, and she can do whatever the hell she wants. Like, Alex hasn't made it. He hasn't made it a point to tell her, you know, you can't do whatever you want. He's like, dude, once you turn 18, I can't tell you what to do.
Bet.
No, that's what he's told her, and that's my mentality. I'm like, bet.
Under
You
your
know?
household, you still have a say so.
Exactly. No, and that's his point. But he's like, if you want to get up and you want to leave and you want to go live with your friend,
Absolutely.
right here up the street, go for it. But see how well they're gonna take care of you. And I'm just like, no, like she's not going anywhere until she finishes high school. Like I did not go through everything that I did in my life to not get this little girl to high school. Like she's gonna finish high school. She's gonna graduate from high school.
But at that point, then you're just kind of living out your expectations.
No,
like because
she's
what if
gonna make it through high school? I made it through high school with a 2-year-old. She's gonna make it through high school.
But
Like,
what
that's
if?
it.
But I'm telling you, what if she was just like one of them kids that like decided like right now, man, you know what? I
Creates
just
the next Facebook.
I don't want to do that because I've got this idea. I want to go do this.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna
Or
finish high school.
What if she says, "Hey, I just want to live off the government," you know? I just
Well,
want
then get the hell out of my house.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
Well,
you
at that
can't
point,
say
get
you're
out of my
gonna
house.
finish high school.
No,
'cause-
she's gonna finish high school. Like that's the one thing that's gonna happen. Dude,
I
I
hope.
freaking graduated
I
with
hope.
a 2-year-old on my hip. She's gonna finish high school.
I graduated from alternative.
Oh my god.
I stole a
got
laptop.
Lucky,
I
got
stole a
lucky enough
laptop.
to get out of high school.
I graduated
hold
by
on.
the skin of my teeth.
Oh my god. I graduated in the top 5% of my class with a 2-year-old daughter.
I was at the bottom 5.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
in like in hindsight, like she graduated from South San.
Yeah, that's like
If it makes you feel
that's
better, I'll
like
give
top
it to
80
you.
Southwest.
I'll give it to you. Okay, guys.
It was a joke. Calm down.